Like therapy has really worked for me. Like just sitting down every week and venting to somebody, which is crazy because I feel like I'm always venting on the radio or on my podcast or something.
Yeah.
But actually sitting down with somebody who you know is a captive audience, like they have to listen to you.
But you have a lot of people. Like I don't get
No,
that.
they can turn the radio off. But once I pay you $150, you there with me for that hour.
This is from Sneha. Sneha here? Who do you think is more fashionable, you or your wife? That's a good question. I would say my wife. She's been killing it right now. She's been killing it. She's been killing it. Everyone's like, damn, you're her accessory. And I'm like, all right, I'll take it. Who would you rather have a drink with and why? Bolsonaro, Modi, or Trump? This is from Vikashini?
Yeah, Ashley, yeah.
It's actually Ashley?
Yeah, I'm Ashley. Yeah.
So why was it Vikashini?
She got the ticket, she thought, yeah.
So you like made up one of those names where you're like, Vikashini at yahoo.com.
I'm the crown girl sitting next to I am Vikashini.
Oh, you're Vikashini, okay.
I'm Ashley, but I'm the one that thought of the question.
So who would you have a drink with?
Who would you have a drink with?
I don't drink. No, but we can still do the game. Everyone's like, impossible. Like I walk into a bar and I melt like, ah! Like a werewolf. Ah! Alcohol! No. I mean, who would you want to have a drink with?
But I really wanted to be the other question.
FMK? Oof. That's really hard. I would love to be a fly on the wall as they all three. Do you know what I mean? Like, I moderate. Yeah, I mean, it's just like, tonight on the authoritarian roundtable, we have Bolsonaro. Yeah. What is your biggest pet peeve? This is from Khushbu. Biggest pet peeve. What's your biggest pet peeve?
Being late.
Being late?
Yeah.
I'm super late. I'm late all the time. I'm really bad. No, I gotta get better, but it's not acceptable. Right? It's so bad. It's like so bad. It's not excusable. How do I not be late? No, but that thing of like running on brown time is just being inconsiderate. I need to be like, you know what it is? This is what I'm always doing. I'm always like, I know I need to leave, but I don't account for travel time. And then I'm also like, you know what? I could do this thing too before I leave. Like, I need to stop doing that. It's in my. Are you always late?
I'm always late.
Are you always late? On time? How do I do it?
Early, actually.
You're early? Dude, that's like crazy. That's like, you being like, I'm early remember what you went to school with someone who's like, my parents don't have a TV in the house. Who's early? You're always early? Damn. Just since you were a kid though, right? Yeah, so you can't break it. This is the way I am. That's my excuse for not growing as a person. What's the most heated interview you've ever done? You know, I've done quite a few heated interviews, but I've never done the type of interviews that our guest has done. Guys, give it up for Charlamagne the God.
How are you, man?
Good to see you, man. Welcome.
What's happening?
What's happening? Charlamagne the God. Now look at that, man.
Oh wow, that guy.
Look, I apologize in advance. Usually you operate in a seated environment. This is our octagon of questions, so to speak.
I like this because the seating thing is everybody does that. You know what I'm saying? It's good to get your blood flowing.
Yeah. This to me is cool. We've been starting to have just friends, people that I admire, people that I think are really cool come. They get to ask you questions, I ask questions.
Okay.
It's just like, it's a town hall.
All right, let's do it.
All right, so.
I like town halls. I like talking directly to the people. You know what I'm saying?
Okay. What is the most heated? Now I'm familiar with a lot of the interviews you've done. What is the most heated interview that you've done that you felt in your career was like, okay, I felt tense. Not what other people have given you credit for, which is mainly what I call the Kanye Yeezus.
Yeah.
That was the one.
I
the
mean,
inflection point.
the most obvious answer would be the Birdman interview when he came in there with with like 6 or 7 guys, and then all the goons, filed out in a single file line, they walked out in a single file line. Yeah. But actually, the most intense one where I was like, all right, this dude might knock my head off, it was Nelly.
Really?
Yeah, because you got to think, Nelly is an athletic brother. He's in shape, and he was very calm. And he just looked at me and he said to me, I keep retainers for guys like you, cuz. I understand that talk. All right.
But what question prompted that?
It was him being cold. I used to do this thing called the freezer, and I was like, you're ice cold right now as a recording artist. It wasn't so.
Oh, this is like you have Donkey of the Day, and then you also have.
Yeah, but he was
freezer.
Actually on the show during the interview, and I told him he was cold in his face. Like, it wasn't too hot in here for his career at that point. At that point.
Right.
And I mean that with the best intentions, Nelly. I still don't want no problems with you, okay? All right.
Did you end up apologizing?
No, I didn't apologize. I just shut the hell up. You just gotta know when to shut the fuck up. That's all.
Yeah. You don't ever get scared? Like I got scared after the Saudi Arabia thing. Like I'm not trying to.
Scared?
Yeah, like just off of.
I got anxiety, so I'm always in a constant state of fear. So I mean, I don't know. I can't really. It's levels. I guess it's levels of fear. But when you got anxiety, everything seems pretty like you're about to die.
But what volume are you at constantly? Of anxiety, if it's a 0 to 10, where are you at?
Oh man, I mean a 10 if I don't talk to myself. You know what I'm saying? If I don't wake up in the morning and read my daily affirmations and meditate and pray, and if I don't go to therapy once a week and take my CBD, I'm always constantly at a 10. But I mean, come on, think about the world we live in. Like totally. You turn on the news, everything is fear mongering.
No. But the crazy thing is that you wrote a book about this, and you've been very public about it. And I'm going to be honest. I'm going to be 100% real. There's black people here. There's South Asian people here. In our community. My dad told me 2 things. He's like, that's just not real. You need to pray more, and you need to go to sleep, and things will be better. That's honestly his thing. If you've ever been like, oh, I'm depressed, he's like, just go to sleep and pray.
Because that's a survival tactic for us in a lot of ways. Because we're always constantly under the gun. So the only thing we really should be fearing technically is the white man, right? Uh-huh. But no, seriously,
this is like, hey, no, I'm with it. Like, let's go Farrakhan right now.
As an oppressed marginalized person, we got real stuff like that to deal with. So everything else, your parents don't want to hear about that. They're like, man, you better toughen up because this world is gonna kick your ass.
Right.
So don't worry about that fake imaginary guy under your bed. He's not real.
So, but then when did you go like, I need to do this? Weren't you afraid of being like, not afraid of being made fun of, but like just kind of like publicly talking about it? Because I meditate and I do the whole thing, but I try not to talk about it to certain people.
I would think it's the same with you because you're a comedian, I'm a radio personality. So it's hard to get on stage and talk about anything but yourself. So it's very hard for me to get on the radio and talk about everything else that's going on in the world when I'm dealing with my own issue. So the easiest thing to do every day when you wake up in the morning is be yourself. So for me, it was just me getting on the radio and sharing my experiences, and it makes you feel stronger because you realize you're not the only one. You have a tribe of people that have the same type of anxiety, that deal with the same type of PTSD, the same type of traumas, the same type of depression sometimes. And for some strange reason, it makes you feel stronger knowing that you got a village of scared people behind you.
Right. Do you think we're gonna like in our generation we'll talk about it more?
Yeah.
For real.
Absolutely.
We don't got no choice.
Can you talk about it with your parents?
Yeah.
You can be like, I'm depressed.
Yeah.
And she'll take it seriously?
Yeah.
There you stay, thank you. What will she say? She'll be like, dua karo, pray to God. Yeah, TK, you're all right.
Yeah, just tell me pray.
Yeah.
Just like get closer to God.
By the way, prayer works, but so does therapy.
Yeah, it's true. How many years have you been publicly talking about this?
Maybe like two. And for me, like I realized over Thanksgiving, my father shared with me after he read my book, and I had a cousin that committed suicide. He shared with me that, 30 plus years ago, he tried to commit suicide, but he didn't because of me and my older sister. And he told me that he was going to therapy 2 and 3 times a week, and that he had been on 10 to 12 different medications throughout his life. And he gets actually a check for his mental health every month for like the past 20 years. So for me, I'm looking at him like, why the hell are you just telling me this now? Right. You know what I'm saying? If you'd have told me this years ago, then instead of unpacking 40-something years of baggage, I would have been unpacking like 20.
Yeah.
So it's like I don't think we do ourselves any favors by keeping secrets from each other.
Didn't you ever feel like at some point, like if I take something?
Well, I don't do medication unless you call CBD medication. You know what I'm saying? Like therapy has really worked for me. Like just sitting down every week and venting to somebody, which is crazy because I feel like I'm always venting on the radio or on my podcast or something. Yeah. But actually sitting down with somebody who is a captive audience, like they have to listen to you.
But you have a lot of people. Like I don't get that.
No, they can turn the radio off. But once I pay you $150, you're there with me for that hour. You know what I'm saying? It's a different feeling.
Right.
Yeah.
What's the like? Did you go in with a goal?
Yeah. For me, I was looking for like this sense of peace that you tend to get when you're like on vacation. You know what I'm saying? When you're on vacation, for me, when I'm on vacation and I got my wife with me and I got all my daughters and like my mom's there, like everybody I love and care for that I constantly worry about when we're all in one place, it's just like this calmness, this peace, this serenity. And I was like, how do I capture this all the time without having to spend all this money on vacations constantly? You know what I mean? Because I only get like 6 vacation weeks a year. So what about the other, however many weeks?
Right.
So for me, my wife was just finally like, yo, just go to therapy, go sit down and talk to somebody. So I had stopped flirting with the idea and just went. And it was the best decision I ever made in my life.
That's
you know
great,
what I mean?
man.
Because
That's
I have learned how to bring myself back to center. And I realized I've been doing that my whole life. When you get those panic attacks, those crazy feelings, when you feel like you're about to have a heart attack and your heart is beating fast and you got shortness of breath. I used to always do these affirmations in my head when I was young. I used to always say, fuck Satan 3 times. And I used to say...
That was your candy
That
man?
was my thing. I used to be like, fuck Satan, fuck Satan, fuck Satan. And I was like, because I grew up Jehovah's Witness, so I say, I love Jehovah God and His Son Jesus Christ. I love Jehovah God and His Son Jesus Christ. And that would always bring me back to center. So now I've gotten other things that bring me back to center, which is usually just sit your dumb ass down. It's not that serious. Right. Take a few deep breaths and you'll be okay.
That's great, man.
Yeah.
That's beautiful, man. What made you recently asked the question that, a lot of people have been trying to ask Elizabeth Warren, and you just went for it. What made you go, all right, let's just take this on head on? All the Native American stuff.
Honestly, I'm just too dumb to know that was like a controversial question.
Oh, that was a huge.
I'm not a political pundit. I'm not a political journalist. I just thought it was weird that she put Native American on her application when she was young. Like that, I didn't think that was gonna be such a big deal. I'm just like, I just wanted to know when she found out she was Native American, did it just ruin the whole lineage of her family? Did her whole family find out right then and there that we're not Native American either? I don't know.
So did you believe the answer she gave you?
No.
What do you mean? You thought that she did, because she did say, she was like, this is what I was told. So how do you want to adjudicate this? Like if I was told this 20, 30 years ago before the woke math was done on this,
Listen, I was told I was Teen Wolf in 3rd grade and I believed it for a little while. But that doesn't mean I was actually Teen Wolf. Right. Like I didn't, after 3rd grade, I stopped howling in the cafeteria. Okay. You know what I mean?
What do you feel about, so people come on The Breakfast Club all the time. Your guys' show, I would say for the next 18 months, is going to be this critical destination for the Democratic candidates. That's where they go to check in to the urban community.
Yeah.
How do you feel about that pandering?
I don't know if it's necessarily
Do you believe it's pandering?
I don't think it's pandering. I just think it's
Hillary going, I got hot sauce in my bag? On The Breakfast Club.
In the moment, I told her,
imagine Hillary coming on this show, and then she goes, you know what I have? Karai chicken, and then she takes out paratha and starts eating it. To me, I'd be like, Hill, I know you hang out with Huma, but you're not that Asian.
I mean, listen, in the moment, I said that to her. I said, this is one of those times they're going to say you're pandering to black people. Yes. But there's an old, I think it's a 2020 or 60 Minutes interview where she actually said she keeps Tabasco on her all the time.
Consistent.
Yeah, so that's why I wasn't really tripping off it. You know what I'm saying? But I don't think it's pandering only because, hey, if I was trying to get a bunch of black people to vote for me, I would go where I think black people are at.
Right.
Like, that's just common sense.
That's true.
When you like chicken, you go to Chick-fil-A.
What do you think about the Kamala saying, she was like, I inhaled?
Oh, that was a nice little pun.
Yeah.
You gotta, as a stand-up comedian, you gotta appreciate that. That's a little callback to Bill Clinton saying he didn't, inhale. Who the hell smokes weed and doesn't inhale? No, I'm not gonna lie to you. I do smoke weed all the time and don't inhale, only because I have friends that smoke weed, and sometimes when I just want to act like I'm high, I'll puff and just blow it out. I don't inhale it either. And I don't even fake smoke it often. Just every now and then. When we're on vacation or something. I
gotta do that. What do you think is the
I've faked sniff coke before too.
What?
Yeah. I just like to make people feel comfortable sometimes. You know what I'm saying?
Like what got you? But in what situation? Were you with Suge Knight and he was like, you need to do this for a record deal?
I forgot where we was at. It might have been in L.A. somewhere. But the coke be on the table and you just you do like this. You cover your nose like this. And you just, but you knock it off with your hand. You knock it off with your hand, but you gotta let a little just be here somewhere. That's all. And then you just scream, whoa!
That's great, man.
Then everybody gets comfortable, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah. That's great. All right, how am I gonna transition to this? What topic, what do you think is the most important topic / policy that 2020 candidates need to address?
I think You know, it's interesting, right? Because, you know, we talk about policies and we talk about legislation, but the truth of the matter is I think the whole country needs a reset when it comes to morals and values and just us getting back to respecting each other and loving each other, because we are the United States of America.
Yeah.
But right now it feels like the divided states of America.
Right.
So I don't know if policy or legislation is important as just restoring the soul of the country, so to speak.
What do you mean by that? You talking about just empathy in general?
Yeah, just in general. Like we're like I'm talking about the basic principles of just life. Like, you know, do unto others as you would have them do unto you.
Yeah.
Be a good person. Treat people the way they want to be treated. Like, don't look down upon people. Like, we got to get back to liberty and justice for all. Like, we got to get back to this promise of equality that America offered everyone.
Right.
That enables, you know, you to be here doing what you're
Totally.
doing, and me be on stage with you. Like, we got to get back to that, because I feel like we're going backwards with a lot of just morality in this country. So, yo, I can easily say, yeah, we need more jobs. You know, we need to get the economy booming. You know, we need to invest more money in the HBCUs. We need, you know, better health care for all. You know, even I think that we need to be addressing the black maternal death rate, you know, because that was something that I saw firsthand when my third daughter was born last year, and I'm a brother who I'm doing pretty good in life, you know what I'm saying? These shoes aren't cheap, you know what I mean? And I got insurance, but when we went to the hospital last year for my daughter to be born, they didn't even have epidurals. You know what I'm saying? Like, it was almost just like a thing of, oh, she's a black woman, she's strong, she can handle it. I'm like,
are you serious?
Yeah. So it's just like, I feel like those are the issues that, you know, a lot of those issues need to be addressed, but I just think that overall, we just need to get back to just loving on each other.
But you've always been, the years that we've known each other, you're a rare dude. You've always been kind of above identity politics. Mm-hmm. What I mean by that is that you've even told me in conversations, you've been like, man, I don't really see race. I mix with everybody. You're a true, like, artist.
I see energy.
Yeah.
You know, but I'm very aware.
But that's not how people move in the world.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
The world is actually incredibly segregated in terms of class and all that stuff. So I've had this conversation with my dad all the time. How do you get people to care about things outside of their POV? We have like an empathy tank that we can only take so much. Like, we did an episode on Sudan like 2 weeks ago. One of the big things that we had in the writer's room was just like, how do you get people to give a fuck about Sudan?
I mean, it's because it's easier to turn a blind eye to stuff like that. I mean, think about it. We live in America where you have grave injustices every day, and people turn a blind eye to those. So why are they going to care about what's going on in a whole nother country?
Here, this is an audience question that was submitted before. What would your slogan be if you ran for president?
What would my slogan be if I ran for president? Maybe live your truth, so nobody can use your truth against you, right? And maybe it would be laws implemented that when somebody is living their truth, we can't use it against them. Meaning that, hey, if you're gay, be gay. You know, if you're, transgender, transsexual, be transgender, transsexual. If you're a proud black person, be a proud black person. And it would be against the law for somebody to hate on you for that fact. You know what I'm saying? All
right. One last question for Charlamagne, and then we got to go. There we go, right there. Yeah. If we play Jesus and Mero in basketball, are you good at basketball? Are you decent?
Nah, but I think I can bust Jesus and Mero ass in basketball. But Mero's be too slow. I put Mero on me, I think I'll go around him every time.
I'm at that age. I mean, I'm 33. We're at that age now where just effort and being in shape in general puts you in the...
Absolutely.
You know what I mean? It puts you in the upper echelon.
That was a very classy way to take Jesus and Mero out of shape. Very
Thank
classy
you. One more
way.
time for Charlamagne the God. Thank you guys so much. Good night. One more time for Charlamagne.